Okay, so hey, it's Drodio, and I want to position Storytell more as a predictive strategic intelligence engine and less as a knowledge management platform. We are right now building some features that will really allow for this new predictive intelligence piece to function. And I was recently on a podcast, it's not published yet, but it's coming, with GMI, where I talked about this. And so what I'm going to show you here is how I'm going to use that podcast to help update the positioning for Storytell. And so the first thing that I did is I loaded the podcast audio into Storytell in this GMI project, so we can see that this is the, it's about the actual audio here. So I've got two audio files. I loaded this audio into the GMI project because we're using it in this project, but I also want to use it in my product management project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the assets here. I'm going to check mark these two assets, and I'm going to copy these assets into another project. So I've got the Storytell product management project here. I'm going to copy the assets over there so that I have a copy of those assets there and I can use them. And now I'm in product management, and now I'm going to craft a prompt that I'm going to use to update the way that we describe Storytell. Before I do that, I've got one more thing that I'm just putting into Storytell, which is an export of our linear board. So linear is where we do all of our ticketing, engineering ticketing, and this is all issues with activity in the past month. So these are basically the features that we are working on as an engineering team. Now I'm going to choose which sources I want to work with, so we can see that I'm choosing the audio podcast as well as the CSV. So I've checked these. We can see it says 3 sources plus web here. So if I were to click on this box, it just opens up. Like if this panel was closed and I click on this box, I can choose the sources that I want to work with. So I'm basically doing some data fencing here to describe the data that I want to work with. Okay, so here we've got a prompt, and I'm basically saying I want to update the capabilities sheet. So this is basically it's a GitHub gist, but it's a page that we maintain that describes Storytell's capabilities. It's public, you can go look at it. And I want to focus more on the predictive intelligence aspect of Storytell because that's really where we shine, or where we're building towards. And so I talk a little bit about what we're doing, and I ask Storytell to create a section that emphasizes the proactive nature of this predictive strategic intelligence functionality. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking a podcast where I talked about this. So I've already spent the time as a CEO to talk about this functionality, and I'm repurposing that, right? I'm getting dual use out of that time that I spent. Not only is it in a podcast, but now I can repackage that and I can use it to deepen the description of Storytell in this way. So it's awesome for me as a very time poor CEO to be able to reutilize something that I've already done. I've already put the time in, so why not get more use out of it? Okay, so let's see what happens. And so now Storytell is giving me an answer. And by the way, I can always zoom into this section here. We can see that Storytell is doing some thinking, some planning, some web searching, some knowledge base searching. I can open this up and I can see exactly what it's doing. So I can get into the depth of the reasoning to see what it's doing. I can get into the depth of the planning to see how Storytell is doing the planning. I can see what web searching it's doing. So it's going out and it's looking for that capabilities sheet. It's also searching through the knowledge base to see exactly where I'm talking about this functionality in the podcast. So I can kind of go as deep as I want to see how Storytell is actually getting the work done. I'll go ahead and click this again to close it. And now, this is great. This is exactly what I talked about in the podcast. It feels so good to get this additional value from the time that I already spent. Storytell is giving me a great description of this, and it's giving me 50 great use cases, right? Stalled enterprise deals, competitive displacement prevention, upsell opportunity detection, revenue forecast accuracy. I mean, all of these things are exactly the kinds of things that become possible with Storytell. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this gist that we use to describe Storytell. So this is it's a document for LLMs to understand what Storytell is capable of. And what I can do is I can copy this as Markdown. So I've actually got 2 sections here. And so what I want to do is I want to say copy, and then I have this option here to copy as Markdown. So I'll do that again, copy as Markdown. So now I've copied that as Markdown. I'm just going to grab it all here. So I don't want to put the case studies in the same section as a description. So I'm going to grab the description, and now I'm adding it into the Storytell capabilities section.